Hey guys, my name is Julie Sundar and today I'll be giving you a tutorial on building the IoT stack for Hakomation 2018. Today I'll be giving you the tools that you're going to be needing, how to basically install your Raspberry Pi, and how to install your Node.js and Python stack. I presume that you guys already have your basic hardware, which is your Raspberry Pi 3, your micro SD card and card reader, your cross cable, and your power cable. So tools of the trade. So there's obviously other tools out there that you guys could be using, but I've had experience with these and they're pretty good basic tools that you could use to get started. So first we have Win32 Disk Imager, which is a tool that you guys are going to be using to read and write your image to and from your Raspberry Pi. We have PuTTY, which you're going to use to connect to your Raspberry Pi via an IP or a host name. We have Notepad++, which is a code or text editor that you're going to use to edit your code, and WinSCP, which allows you to easily upload and download files to and from your Raspberry Pi. So let's begin. The first thing you want to do is write your Raspberry and Jessie image onto your SD card. So you're going to take your micro SD card and put it in your card reader and insert it into your PC. You're going to then check whatever drive your SD showed up on. Mine is currently on G drive. After that, you're going to open up Win32 Disk Imager. And in this drop down, you're going to select whatever drive your SD card showed up on. And then you're going to navigate to your Raspberry and Jessie image. You're going to then select it and write this image to your SD card. Once your image is completely written to the SD card, you'll see a pop-up that says write completed, and then you click OK. So for step 2, we're going to configure some of the files on our SD card so that we can connect to our Raspberry Pi over Ethernet, Wi-Fi, and we're going to create an additional file called SSH with no extension so that we can enable SSH and connect to our Raspberry Pi. So the first thing you want to do is edit that file that's called command-line.txt. In this file, you're going to be adding the static IP address that you're going to be using to connect to your Raspberry Pi over Ethernet. I'll be using 192.168.1.150. So what you do, you put IP equal whatever address you choose. And then you click save and exit. Next, we're going to create another file called wpa-sapakon.conf. In this file, we're going to configure the Raspberry Pi on boot to connect to your network, so that you can access the Raspberry Pi over Wi-Fi. What you basically have to do is put in your network SSID here. And the password here. Then gonna click save and exit. And lastly, because we want to connect to our Raspberry Pi via PuTTY, we're going to create an empty file called SSH with no extension so that we can enable SSH on our Raspberry Pi. Now what you want to do is take your SD card and insert it into your Raspberry Pi and connect your Raspberry Pi to your laptop with your cross cable. You then want to make sure your laptop is configured in such a way that it's on the same subnet as your Raspberry Pi, but that your laptop and your Raspberry Pi have different IP addresses. Let's begin. So first off, we're going to connect to our Raspberry Pi using PuTTY. We're going to then go through our Raspberry Pi configuration, and we're going to install Node.js and Python. So what you want to do is open PuTTY and type in that IP address that you put in your command-line.txt file. You want to give it a name, save it, and load it. And you should be able to access your Raspberry Pi on default username Pi and default password Raspberry. And if you would like to check if your installation has been done correctly, what you can do is ifconfig, and on ET80 you should see the IP address that you put in your command line.txt, and on WLAN 0 you should see the IP address that you could use to connect your Raspberry Pi over Wi-Fi. And if you would like to check if you can access the Raspberry Pi on both of those addresses, you can open your command prompt and ping both of those addresses. As you can see here, I can connect to the Raspberry Pi on both of those addresses. I can connect to the 1.50, which is Ethernet, and on the 1.21, which is Wi-Fi. So now that you're in your Raspberry Pi, the first thing you want to do is set up your Raspberry Pi config wizard. Since you're a Pi user, what you have to do is sudo raspi config and press enter. Once you're in the wizard, you can enable whatever you need to for your project. So let's get started with installing Node.js and Python. For installing Node.js, we're going to curl the node source Node.js script, and then we're going to sudo apt-get the latest version of Node.js. And after your node source script is done installing, and you're a Pi user, what you have to do is do sudo apt-get install Node.js, and it's going to download the latest version of Node.js. And when Node.js is done installing, you can check what version of Node you have by doing node -v, and to check what npm version you have by doing npm -v. So after installing Node.js, we were supposed to be installing Python, but what I just realized, Python and pip are already pre-installed in this installation. As you can see here, Python is already at its latest version, and pip is already at its newest version. And to check if everything is installed correctly, you can check the versions of Node, npm, Python, and pip. To check the version of Node, you can do node -v, for npm, npm -v, and for Python, Python -big V, and for pip, pip -big V. Okay, so since you're done with your basic installation, your installation of Node.js and Python, and you're looking for a tool that you can use to easily upload and download files to and from your Raspberry Pi, you can use WinSCP. Now as you can see, we're in our Raspberry Pi and you can see the folder structures. I'm going to navigate and show you guys all the versions of Python that was pre-installed. As you can see here, all the versions of Python. We have Python, Python 2.7, 3.0, and 3.4. So lastly, what we're going to do, we're going to navigate back to the root and create our folder structure for Node.js. We're going to first create our main folder, which is called Node.js. In this folder, we have another folder called Node Modules, and here's where all your libraries are going to be. And then you're going to create another folder called Projects, and in the project folder is where all your projects is going to be. So that was the end for this tutorial, and since you guys got your Raspberry Pi Basics installed, you can start with your awesome projects. Till next time for the next tutorial.